The Last Dance might be the best basketball movie ever made. The behind-the-scenes stuff and videos we've never seen before are incredible. Michael Jordan talks openly like he's never done before. But it has left lots of people with some really big questions. Like, why doesn't Scottie Pippen have any furniture in his house? Actually, I might be the only one wondering about that. But there are some really important questions coming from The Last Dance that need answers in this video. We'll talk about the questions people ask most about The Last Dance. Hey, it's Casey, your host. Question number 1. Why did it take 22 years to make this thing? This question got asked a lot. At first, we got an official answer, but I think the real reason is something different. The current NBA boss, Adam Silver, was running NBA Entertainment back in the 1990s. A movie maker pitched him an all-access documentary idea. Phil Jackson said, okay. Michael Jordan was harder to convince, though. Here is what that NBA movie maker said to MJ. Our deal will be that neither of us can use this film without the other person saying yes. The film will be kept as a separate part of our library. Our movie makers won't have access to it. It will only be used with your permission. Worst case, you'll have the greatest set of home movies for your kids ever made. Pretty good pitch, and it worked. After that, the film just sat in a safe in New Jersey. Lots of directors pitched MJ ideas to make the film, but he wasn't ready. In 2016, he finally said yes. The official reason is because people now watch whole shows at once. So a 10-hour documentary made sense to fit it all in. But I think a big part of it is that Jordan was feeling pressure from LeBron James about being the greatest. We know how competitive MJ is. It's a huge part of this documentary. This movie is basically Jordan saying, do not forget how much of a killer on the court I was. I am the greatest, not LeBron James. Question number 2. What is Michael Jordan drinking during his interviews? This one is easy. It's not whiskey. It's tequila. Specifically, Cinco Tequila, which Michael Jordan owns with 4 other NBA team owners. We decided to do our own tequila. You know, if we sell it, we sell it. If not, at least we got enough to drink. Cheers. Cheers, my friend. Cinc stands for the 5 owners and Oro stands for gold. The 5 are MJ, the Hornets owner, Jeannie Buss, the Lakers owner, Wes Edens, the Bucks owner, and 2 of the owners of the Boston Celtics. Question number 3. Why are Michael Jordan's eyes yellow? So there's a couple of theories on this one floating around. One is that it's jaundice, which is common for people who smoke and drink a lot. Duh. MJ has never actually come out and said what the problem is. But we learned a lot more from an eye doctor named Dr. Valfua, who was interviewed by Vice. She said, Jordan's eyes are slightly discolored, which may point to jaundice. But there seems to also be a slightly raised bump in the eye, which can point to something local causing the discoloration, like a pink. Yellowish discoloration of the eyes may be more obvious in a dark-skinned person compared to someone who is fair. Now, Jordan could come out and tell the world the answer to the question they're all asking. But knowing how private a person he's been since he retired for the last time, I'm not sure we'll ever know for sure. Question number 4. How does Scottie Pippen feel about this documentary? He doesn't like it, according to reports. And I don't blame him. He comes off as a frustrated, selfish teammate at times. Jordan even called him selfish for choosing to not have surgery before the 1998 season. Fair or not, the documentary had a whole section on Scottie quitting on his team. during the 1994 playoffs. It does suck when you have a 17-year Hall of Fame career and they spotlight your worst moments. Some reports have said people close to Pippen say he's wounded and disappointed. Dennis Rodman recently said, "I wish he didn't give a crap like me about what people say." Scottie was so underrated and so underpaid. He should be holding his head up higher than Michael Jordan in this documentary. Other players haven't liked certain parts. Craig Hodges, who was on Jordan's rookie team, hated the cocaine circus comment, which Jordan got a kick out of. He said a lot of those guys had to explain to their families what that meant. Charles Barkley says the treatment of Jerry Krause is unfair. He thinks the GM's being thrown under the bus. Rounds off has thrown him on the bus and drove over him like 10 times. You know, the notion that Jerry Krause broke up the Bulls. Anybody who thinks that's gotta be a fool. Jerry Krause didn't want to pay those guys. Okay, so as usual, really good point by Charles Barkley. And it's a shame that Jerry Krause isn't alive to defend himself. But I think Scottie Pippen's got the biggest complaint here. Although he does come off pretty good in episode 10. Question number 5. Why did George Karl not say hi to Jordan in that restaurant? That's a great question. Jordan told the story about the 1996 finals when the Bulls beat Seattle. He said part of his motivation to destroy them was being disrespected by Seattle's coach, George Carr. MJ and Carr were at the same restaurant. Karl completely ignored him. Well, the ex-coach actually explained himself recently. It is true, I had Brendan Malone on my staff from the Detroit Pistons. And he said, Michael plays head games with you all the time. And he said, you know, you don't want to mess with him in this series. Say hello at the beginning of series. Shake his hand at the end of the series. But during the series, don't let him use anything to motivate himself to be a better player than the greatest player in the game of basketball. Question number 6. Why aren't some pretty important people interviewed in The Last Dance? Like question number 1. I think the truth is something different than the official reason. Let's start with, say, Luke Longley. This dude was the starting center for the Bulls' second 3 championships. He doesn't even get a mention until episode 8. Here's why the director of The Last Dance says they didn't talk to Luke Longley. It was not due to our unwillingness to find him or his unwillingness to participate. It strictly was a money concern. So I regret for the Australian audience that Luke doesn't sit down for an interview in this, but his face and his presence are certainly felt. And what about MJ's wife or kids? I get the kids because they might have been too young, but we see his wife all over the place in the old footage. There is family like MJ's mom or brothers. Again, the official reason I wasn't interested in the opinion of any wife or kids in this. We had the storytellers we wanted, and I felt like we had the story covered from every angle. Okay, but I think the real reason is, as great as this doc is, it's a look at Michael Jordan by Michael Jordan. He signed off on everything. If there was an opinion he didn't want in there, it didn't get in there. He and his wife got divorced in 2006. Who knows what she thinks about him? And Luke Longley said in his own book, Running with the Bulls, I'd have to say, after he came back, I really didn't like the guy. I found him difficult to be around, and he and I obviously didn't see eye to eye. We were at each other's throats in practice, and that was a case of frustration from both of us, mostly from him. I don't blame the director, Jason Hayher, for this either. Remember, this thing wouldn't even have been made if Jordan didn't have control. It's still a great documentary, even if some fans would like to have a more complete picture of Michael Jordan. Question number 7. What are the ratings? The ratings are about 5.8 million people live per episode. The numbers are a lot higher if you include people who watch it later streaming or on demand. For context, that's a ton of people. But nothing beats live sports. The least watched NBA Finals game ever was Game 2 in 2003 between the Spurs and Nets at just over 8 million people. The most watched was Jordan's last game as a Bull, Game 6 in 1998. If you want to know who is watching the top 5 cities for episodes 5 and 6, for example, were Chicago, then Greensboro, North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and for some reason, San Diego. There are certain bumps for different cities, like more people in LA or New York watch for the Kobe episode at Madison Square Garden. But for the most part, towns with connections to MJ, the most dot. And question number 8, what's the story with those security guards? John Michael Wozniak took the internet by storm with his Jordan shrug after beating him in cards. This dude was made for a meme. His blonde perm is amazing. This dude even got an Air Jordan tattoo. He was an Army veteran who worked for the Bulls while he was still a Chicago police officer. John Michael is in a ton of pictures if you look closely whenever MJ needed security. Unfortunately, he died this January just before The Last Dance came out, but his daughter says he would have loved it. Another security guard plays a huge part in the final night of The Last Dance. With people around, they think they're entitled to certain things. Gus would put him straight. That was Gus. When my father got killed, he became like a father figure to me. I had to have him next to me everywhere. Those security guards probably had some stories that will never see the light of day. But at least we get some answers to questions that we have coming out of The Last Dance. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.